Are you one of those people who, when you're doing a crossword, insists on writing it all out very neatly, even though nobody else is going to see it? Have you ever been offered a job at Volkswagen?
I'm talking about attention to detail, obsession, the theme of the advertising campaign for the new Volkswagen Passat. The obsession theme would seem to have more than an element of truth when you reflect that the Volkswagen team behind the new Passat must have spent months perfecting the ergonomically designed damp and grab handles, or the lovely thick-rimmed steering wheel, or that solid thunk of the door closing. And don't we all just appreciate that right kind of soft rubber to line the coin tray? All minor details perhaps, but the plus points add up to create the award-winning success story the new Passat saloon is. But this is not the Passat saloon. Just arrived in the showrooms, this is the new Passat Estate. This load-lugging version of the saloon should in theory be a great hit in the UK, if only because estates of previous Passats have always been big sellers. Unlike some estate versions I could mention, the variant back-end style looks naturally in proportion to the front. Its clean, cool lines may not shout fashion statements, but instead they ooze a kind of sophisticated modernism. It simply looks good.
But estate buyers will be far more interested on what's on offer inside, and they won't be disappointed. On paper, the Renault Laguna estate may have a far roomier load bay, but the Passat estate is actually wider and generally far more useful. And there's no fashionable fancy curved end here. Volkswagen have remembered that most of the time you fill your boot with suitcases and big square boxes, and as a result everything is extremely angular, so you can fit the maximum amount in.
Just look at the thought processes Volkswagen must have gone through to anticipate the needs of the estate user. There's a low-level floor, a wide opening, a protective covering for the bumper, a bright metal load bay lip shield. There's chromed load lashing points, slide rails to protect the carpet, 12-volt power sockets for portable fridges or whatever. And when you're ready to close the tailgate, you have twin handles to prevent your little fingers getting dirty.
Do you remember the days when the extra stiffening and suspension adjustments that were needed for estate cars meant they weren't as much fun to drive as their saloon sisters?
These days, manufacturers have found ways to keep the driving dynamics very similar from saloon to estate, and the Passat is no exception. The new 4-link front suspension and separately mounted springs and dampers give a very smooth ride. While the driving experience is not exactly thrilling, but it's certainly very willing.
I'm driving the 1.9 TDI Sport. Yes, a diesel, but this is a direct injection turbo diesel. It gives off 110 brake horsepower at 1900 RPMs. With performance like this, the days of the hopelessly sluggish oil burner are long since gone.
For real power freaks though, just wait a few months when the Passat Estate will be available with the revolutionary VR5 2.3 litre petrol engine, or the 30-valve 2.8 litre V6 boasting 193 brake horsepower. Both of these will be available with a Tiptronic gearbox. File under wild and wicked sporting estates.
When putting the Passat's interior together, somebody obviously had a very good rummage through the Audi parts bin, which I must say is no bad thing. The interior has a very solid and expensive look and feel to it. There are cup holders galore, cubby holes everywhere, and what about these wonderful louvered vents?
It's comfortable to drive as well. The steering wheel adjusts in 2 directions, and there's an excellent ratchet-style height seat adjustment system.
Overall, the Passat Estate is just as impressive as the saloon. It's extremely stylish and very practical, but there are a few flies in the ointment. It's a real shame that in the advertising campaign, Volkswagen made us look at obsession to detail, because on the estate, there's just a few little things that make it lose marks.
First of all, the radio. It's too low down, and you end up taking your eyes off the road too much to fiddle around with it. The fuel filler doesn't fit properly, and is it really meant to be this flimsy? The clutch footrest is at the wrong angle, the angle is a bit too steep for comfort.
But all of those are just little niggles when you look at the Passat Estate overall. The car is really a magnificent achievement that should worry the likes of Audi, BMW and maybe even Mercedes. For a starting price of just under £16,000, you get a solid, reliable and well-built estate with plenty of room that should experience excellent residual values.
Let me leave you with this thought. This particular Passat Estate has the new TDI 110 brake horsepower engine, independently assessed as the most fuel-efficient internal combustion engine ever installed in a production passenger car. And they've installed this engine in the most aerodynamic car in its class. The result? An astonishing 63 miles per gallon on the urban cycle. Less trips to the filling station and less chances for you to have to open your wallet.
12 across. A description of the new Volkswagen Passat Estate and a term of farewell. Goodbye.